Hi, welcome back to Homeschool Peas. I'm Cassandra. Today I'm going to be sharing with you Gather Round's holiday unit called The First Christmas. In this video today, I'm going to be taking you through this teacher's guide, walking you through the student workbooks, giving you some great close-ups of this material, as well as sharing how I'm going to be incorporating this holiday unit into our current homeschool plan. Gather Round currently has two Christmas units, the First Christmas as well as Christmas Around the World. There's no particular order that you have to do these units in. My family did Christmas Around the World last year, so I do have a video on my channel. If you are interested in Christmas Around the World, go check out that video, and I do have it linked below. But in today's video, we're going to be focusing on the First Christmas unit. The concept of gather round is that you're gathering all your kids around the table and teaching them what you can at the same time. There's many lessons and information for subjects that we work on that really we could teach that to all of our kids. We just need to have different workbooks for each individual student's level and ability. And that's what Gather Round has really created. Now, this is their holiday unit. It's set up a little bit different than their regular units, but it starts first with a teacher's guide. So you are definitely going to need this teacher's guide. This is where you're going to sit and read the information and go through the lesson with your students. Then you're going to be picking workbooks based on your students' ability. Now, the best place to probably go is go right to Gather Round's website. You can view some previews of each of these workbooks, and that'll give you a really good feel for the reading and writing skills needed for each of these levels. Here in my home, my youngest student will be using the early reader book. I have an early elementary student, and I have an upper elementary student. Now, this program, there is workbooks designed for your young kindergarten age all the way up to high school. So you just pick whatever workbooks you need for your students. Now, in the actual teacher's guide, there is a total of 12 lessons for this holiday unit. The recommended schedule is that you complete these 12 lessons over 3 weeks. So that's 4 lessons a week leading up to the Christmas holiday. Now, if you have a really busy schedule, you could always consider just starting this material the very beginning of December and spreading it out through the month. I did find that going with the 4 lessons a week for the 3 weeks actually worked out really well last year. So that's the schedule that I'm going to be using again this coming year. So now let's go ahead and take a look at this material. You can purchase your teacher's guide pre-printed like I did. It does come bound with a just sort of thicker paper cover, or if you would prefer the digital download, that's available through the Gather Round site as well. The very first page is the table of contents. It includes the lessons 1 through 12, as well as the appendix, which has some other great resources. The next 3 pages are the Bible story that you're going to be reading to your students every day going through these 12 lessons. You're going to be in this unit really focusing on the birth of Christ and teaching that to your student. So you start each day by reading this passage. Now, if you have a preferred Bible translation, you can pull out your Bible and just read from there, but you're going to be reading Luke chapter 2 verses 1 through 20 to your students. The next page is the book list. What I found really great with the book list is these are some really great ideas that you can pull if you want to be reading some books to your students during these 3 weeks, which I definitely highly recommend. Or if there's other books that are available either at your library or other books on your wish list that you want to read to your kids over the holidays, you can pull any of the books that you want together and just spend time reading Christmas books to your kids during these 3 weeks. The next thing is the supply list. There is a list for the groceries that you'll need, as well as just lesson material that you'll need for all of these lessons. And the last thing in this sort of first section of this teacher's guide is just a listing area where you can note different events, your shopping list, things to do, baking ideas that you have for the holidays, which is just a great note-taking section. So now let's go ahead and take a look at one of the lessons. Today I'm going to be sharing lesson 4 with you, and this is all about the census. To start the lesson, you bring all your kids together and you sit down and you read the Bible passage from Luke. Now, if you have youngers, they could sit there and maybe color while you read. For the olders, you could encourage that they actually read the Bible story aloud. From that, you're going to jump right into your teacher's guide, reading to your kids aloud what a census is and going through almost like a scenario of going through the knocking on the door and there wasn't any room, and almost putting yourself in Mary and Joseph's shoes on how would that feel that there is no room anywhere for them to stay. After going through this reading passage, you're going to go into talking about the story of the Christmas song, O Holy Night. And it goes through when it was created, who wrote the song, and then you're going to be reading the lyrics aloud to your students. And as well as you can always even play the song as well. But during many of these lessons, you are studying and listening to many Christmas songs. So if you are able to play an instrument, the music is included right in the teacher's guide as well as in the student workbooks, and you can actually play and sing the songs together with your kids. After you take the time of reading through the lyrics of O Holy Night, the teacher's guide tells us to jump into our student workbooks to go through the activities within lesson 4. So let's go ahead and look at the student books. In the workbook for the day, it starts with the students creating their own Christmas ornament. There are 3 ideas you can pick from. There's one that they can create little mistletoes by painting the bottom of their feet and stamping that on a piece of paper. There is a little Christmas ornament with a marshmallow snowman inside a jar. There's also the option to take green felt, cut it out, and sew it to create a little Christmas tree. I love to incorporate a little bit of sewing into our craft, so I'll most likely pick this felt tree. But after your students have worked and completed their Christmas ornament, you have them flip their page for some map study. On this map, you're going to see on my younger 2 workbook pages, the places are already noted and identified. For my older student, he's going to need to go ahead and label the locations on the map and write out the names of the cities, as well as the path that Mary and Joseph took on their route from Nazareth to Bethlehem. So they're going to go ahead and do that. So you can see here that even though this is the same activity or teaching the same information, the older one just has a little bit more that they need to do in their workbook. After they've completed the map activity, my middle student, as well as my oldest student, they both have a census paper to do. So they're going to go around to people in their home and ask questions like hair color, favorite food, eye color, but they're going to be recording their data on these sheets. Their sheets look a little bit different, but similar type of activity. For my younger student, she does not have this activity in her book. So you can just see, again, something that might be a little bit harder with the writing and collecting the data is more designed for the older students. When they're done going through the census, you're going to jump back into your teacher's guide, and it talks about a movie discussion. What's really fun is every week, so for the 3 weeks, they recommend watching some Christmas movies with your family, and then after watching those movies, having some discussion about the movies. And there's some really great questions included in the teacher's guide. And for this particular lesson, they would like you to watch The Grinch, as well as The Best Christmas Pageant Ever at some point over this first week. And then from there, you would go ahead and have those discussion points and questions with your students. There is a workbook page for the younger. They have sort of a nice page that they can color. My family movie night, my one thing. They can write about their one thing included on the back of the couch. For the middle student, here's just sort of an open sheet where they can draw or maybe make a picture to narrate what they learned or their favorite part from one of the movies, whether it's The Grinch or The Best Christmas Pageant Ever. And for my older student, his looks pretty much the same as the middle student, writing down that information or drawing a picture of their favorite part from the movie. But really great discussions about the movie when you finish up this 4th lesson. Since I can't go through every single lesson outside of lesson 4 that I shared, I just wanted to share some other sort of really cool things included in the student book. One really great thing is over the course of the 3 weeks, your student is going to be building their own nativity scene. So it starts with the stable, and then they're adding the manger, Mary and Joseph, the shepherds, the wise men, and creating this nativity scene out of paper. And they can either color it, they can paint it, cut it out, and build that and have something to really remember and be able to walk through the story of Jesus's birth. Other things that I really enjoy is the actual sheet music included in the student workbook pages, that it includes not only the piano, but it also includes the chords. So if you can play an instrument, instrument you can pull right from these sheets and be able to play with your kids. There's so many other crafts and cutouts and activities all packed in here. Plus, what's really great is it still gives you time that you can spend with your kids baking and creating other really great memories around the Christmas holiday and reading those great Christmas books, that you're not just tied to your set curriculum for the Christmas season. Instead, you can add this in and be able to really just spend some quality time really focused on Jesus's birth. You might be looking at this and think it's great, but how do you add it into your existing homeschool schedule or plan? So in my family, I don't use Gather Around as my main curriculum. I've been using them more of as like a holidays supplemental unit, but I haven't been using them as my main curriculum. So I still have other things that I want to keep going with my kids, specifically our math and our reading lesson. I have the younger elementary school age, that those two subjects are really important at this point. So for just the 3 weeks, right before Christmas, while we're doing this unit, I just alternate each day for between math and reading lesson, just so that we don't lose total ground with math and reading. So one day we'll start with a math lesson or math sheets, and then once everybody's done with the math sheets, then we'll jump into this material. Then the next day we all do our reading lesson, and when we're done with reading lesson, then we jump in the material. So we just bounce between the two. On that 5th day, the Friday, we typically have co-op or other field trips those days, but what we start with first is just a history lesson or social studies. Make sure we sort of knock out one of the things from our main curriculum, and then we'll go off to do whatever activities that we have for the day. But by alternating my math and reading for those 4 days, that really helps just sort of keep the ball rolling with math and reading while we really take the time to slow down and focus on Jesus's birth. This material does really fill the rest of the day. It might not seem like it, but by the time you get done doing just that one subject in the morning, and then going into really reading the material, going through the activities, especially if you're doing like a Christmas craft or you're baking cookies or you're really working on music, by the time you're done doing all that, it really does fill the rest of our day. And that's what I want. I really want to make sure, from doing the Christmas read alouds or making the gingerbread house or wrapping the presents, there's so much learning that's going on, and that's where I want the focus to be. So if you're also looking at this thinking, how do you add it? Well, maybe consider what is your couple subjects or ones that you don't want to lose ground on, and you could consider alternating those first before diving into this material. So hopefully that helps you out. I hope you enjoyed going through the Gather Around First Christmas unit. If you've used this unit and you have any ideas of things that you've added or special things that you've done with this unit, go ahead and leave your comments below. I'd love to hear from you. Before you leave, don't forget to hit the like button and the subscribe, and I'll talk to you soon. Goodbye.